Chuck Dixon interview for Nightmare on Elm Street DVD extras.
How did you come to write the 8-issue Nightmare on Elm Street comic book series published by Wildstorm?
Scott Peterson was my editor on Batman for about 8 or 9 years. And when he came on at Wildstorm, we were anxious to work together. And he was assigned the New Line horror properties and gave me my choice of which of the three I would like to work on the most. And it was no question. Nightmare on Elm Street was absolutely my first choice.
Tell us about the basic premise and characters of your comic book series. There were 2 story arcs, the first spanning issues 1 through 4, the second spanning issues 5 through 8.
In the first arc, it's a girl named Jade, teenage girl, moves to Springwood. And, of course, she's going to be Freddy's freshest, newest victim. The complication for Freddy arises when her dad is a U.S. Army Ranger, combat veteran. He figures out what's going on with his daughter, and he figures a way to enter the dream world with her while she's asleep to defend her, using all of his combat techniques. And basically, father and daughter set up a fire base in Freddy's Nightmare world. And the last issue is this, bloody war fantasy as Freddy attacks the firebase over and over and over again in various forms. The second arc was a group of teenagers who the only thing they have in common is that they're Freddy's latest victims. So they sort of form a clique, kind of like a breakfast club kind of thing, and trying to figure out a way that working together they could survive. And one of them comes upon a legend of an Aztec sleep demon. And it sounds very much like Freddy, except it would do the will of whoever summoned it. And so the kids, in a bloody ritual, summon this Aztec monster to defend them from Freddy. And it's probably one of the few times Freddy has, been challenged by something nearly as awful as himself. So it was a real kick-ass fight at the end of that arc.
Were you familiar with or a fan of the Elm Street film franchise prior to landing the assignment to write the series?
Yeah, I liked all the movies. I mean, the first one, seemed, it was so fresh and different. Never seen anything quite like that before, and it seems so visceral. It's a mean slasher film, but it's also more cerebral. And then, I enjoyed the first sequel. Then the third sequel, I thought, that was pretty spectacular because it brought a new an edge to the series as the Freddy's victims basically try to turn on him.
Which, if any, of the films did you draw upon for inspiration in the creation of your comic series?
Well, the first movie lays down the rules, so obviously, you go by that. And as I said before, the third film is probably what I draw from the most, because what's attractive about the Nightmare series is that the people that Freddy's after, they aren't shrinking violent victims. They don't lose their senses and do stupid things and get picked off one by one. They don't use the usual slasher film tropes. And Freddy's characters, his supporting characters, they're more proactive. They try to figure out a way out of this thing. They try to figure out what Freddy's rules are and try to violate them. Okay, stop it.